You've been doing the embodiment work, the somatic work, breathwork sessions, the body scans, the yoga, the get out of your mind and drop into your body and senses work. You can feel your nervous system starting to shift. But here's what gets frustrating. You might be finding yourself repeating the same patterns, still triggered by the same things in life, still lying awake with that mental chatter running the show. Let me show you why. Hello, beautiful human. My name's Dan, and I've been working with entrepreneurs and founders and leaders on nervous system health and conscious leadership for over a decade now. I'm one of only about 100 practitioners worldwide trained in facilitated breath repatterning. And what I've seen is this: people doing years of somatic work, expanding their window of tolerance, really getting into their bodies, and yet they're still running the same mental loops that keep depositing stress right back into that body they're working so hard to regulate. So in this video, I want to walk you through exactly why body-based therapy alone keeps you spinning your wheels, and more importantly, what actually needs to happen for sustainable nervous system health. By the end of this, you'll understand the missing piece that makes all that somatic work actually stick, and why mind somatic integration is the only way forward if you want to stop feeling like you're constantly emptying a sinking ship. Does that make sense? Right. So let's explore this. Here's the bind we're stuck in. Traditional talk therapy, pure mind-based work is outdated. We know this. You can talk about your patterns till the cows come home. But if your nervous system hasn't actually shifted, if you haven't completed those incomplete stress cycles in your body, you're just intellectualizing trauma, not healing it. So the pendulum swung hard. Suddenly, it's all about the body. Get out of the head, feel your feelings, drop into sensation. The mind is bad. This is a massive upgrade. It really is. It's progress. The body holds the wisdom. The nervous system knows what it needs. Here's what has happened. We've created a new problem. By positioning body-based work as the antidote to being too heady, we've actually reinforced the very split we're trying to heal. We're still treating mind and body as separate systems, just prioritizing the one now. And this is where entrepreneurs and founders and leaders get stuck, because you're doing the work, you're showing up to the breathwork session, you're completing certain stress cycles, you're expanding your window of tolerance, which is your capacity to activate relative to your capacity to relax. You're doing everything right on the somatic side. But if the language you're using, both the words that you speak out loud and the narrative running through mind, is still generating stress and not reflective of what you actually know to be true, then you're filling the boat up with water as fast as you're emptying it, right? So let's get practical here. Imagine your body as a vessel, as a boat, and that boat has filled with water, stress, conditioning, trauma, all the stuff you're carrying around. And most of us are still carrying around emotional patterns from when we were 5. Now you start doing somatic work, embodiment work. That's bucket A. You're emptying the water out through breath work, nervous system resets. You can feel it working. You're feeling lighter. You have more capacity. You're less reactive momentarily. Your window of tolerance is seemingly expanding, but here's what you're missing. Bucket B. That's your language. The words you use to describe the reality that you're perceiving, the internal narrative running on a loop, the way you perceive and filter the world through language. And bucket B, it's still filling the boat. Every time you say, I'm so stressed, every time you tell the story about why that client frustrates you, every time you rehearse in your mind what could go wrong, you're generating a stress response in your body through language. This is what we know from NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, and the communication model, where external events come in, they pass through your filters, 1, 2, 3, your meta programs, your values, your beliefs, your language patterns, and your memories. And then your mind creates an internal representation, and that internal representation triggers a physiological response in the body at an unconscious, subconscious level. And that influences your endocrine system, your nervous system, your breath mechanics, your biology. So you can do all of the somatic work in the world, but if your language doesn't change to reflect what's actually going on, then you're going to end up in an endless loop. And this is the reason why mind somatic integration is so important, not just mind or body, but an integrated system where they are actually working together. Now, this isn't a new insight, by the way. The ancient Toltecs knew this. Don Miguel Ruiz talks about it in the Four Agreements. The fourth agreement is be impeccable with your word. Be intentional with your language. Stop saying, you know what I mean, and start saying what you actually mean, because your nervous system is listening. Your body is responding to every word, spoken or unspoken, that you're thinking or speaking. I've watched this pattern play out with so many clients, hours and hours and years of somatic work, real progress on the body side, but their language still reflecting an experience of reality based on fear, still using words that contract rather than expand, still describing their businesses, their relationships, their capacity through the lens of scarcity and threat. And here's where it gets interesting. The trade-off isn't 1 to 1. It's not like 1 hour of somatic work equals 1 hour of language work. But it is significant because you can expand your nervous system capacity all you want, but if you're still using language that activates your threat response, you'll just find yourself back in that sympathetic state when you're not needing it. The flight, the fight, the freeze, parasympathetic. The cycle continues. This is why relaxed intensity matters so much. It's about meeting life fully and effectively. Yes, but with the underlying layer of nervous system relaxation. And you can't get there if your internal dialogue is constantly signaling danger. So, what's most useful here? How do you actually integrate this? First, keep doing the somatic work. Seriously, your nervous system needs that reminder as to how to regulate, that remembrance, the breath work, the body-based practices. These are foundational. We're not abandoning that, but start paying attention to your language. Start noticing the words you use to describe your experience. When you catch yourself saying, I'm so overwhelmed, pause. What's actually true? And notice the words that you've just used. I'm overwhelmed. We're literally using the same words that we use to introduce ourselves to someone. I'm Dan. I'm overwhelmed. Can you see how all of a sudden we place ourselves in the very center of that storm versus seeing that experience for what it is and not identifying as it? And this isn't about disassociation. It's about disidentification. That's the next video where we're going to deep dive into that and show you how to free yourself from that entire piece. And start to notice, what's the sensation in your body? Can you describe that without the story? Notice your internal narrative, the way that you talk to yourself about your capacity, your worthiness, your business, your relationships. Is that language expanding, expansive, or contracting? Is it based in reality or fear? Because this sort of work takes time. The nervous system needs time to integrate new patterns, and you need to be diligent with the words that are processing here. But when you start working with both buckets, when you're emptying the water through somatic practices, clearing, and you're turning off the tap through conscious language, that's when sustainable shifts happen. Now, look, if you're finding yourself in this pattern, doing the work, but still feeling a little stuck, and you want support with the mind somatic integration piece, I've got a link in the description below. There's a quick video there explaining who I can and can't help. If you're watching that and you're an entrepreneur, a founder, or a leader, working with nervous system health and you need that deeper integration, feel free to apply to work with me one to one and know that it's going to be me jumping on the call with you, no salesperson. So I'll be personally on that call with you and just having a conversation about whether this work makes sense for you. So the link is there if you need it. Okay. Let me give you one more key takeaway. Here's the thing. Your mind and body were never separate in the first place. That's just a construct, a way we've learned to organize our experience. The reality is they're one integrated system, always have been. So when you approach your healing, your growth, your capacity with that understanding, that how you breathe is how you think, that your language shapes your physiology, that your nervous system is responding to your internal narrative, that's when the real work begins. That's when you stop emptying the boat and actually fix the leak. I really hope this video helps you see the missing piece in your nervous system work. But here's what most people don't realize. If you want true freedom, you also need to look at who you are taking yourself to be, your identity, the way you perceive the world. Because your nervous system isn't just responding to language, it's responding to your entire sense of self. So in this next video, I'm going to show you how to free yourself, liberate yourself from the mind without throwing it out with the bathwater, and how self-inquiry and questioning who you really are plays such a pivotal role in affecting your biology, your nervous system, and your capacity for true freedom. This is probably the deepest work we can do. Check it out and see you in the next one. Together in deep work, rest, and play.